Hello everyone, my name is Chrissy and welcome to my channel. Sorry I was being weird. I've been trying to get a good introduction, nothing's sticking. So instead we're just going to jump into a book review of The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This book is a fantasy book that takes place in a country called Nakara. Now it follows a character named Rin who just wants to live a good life. She unfortunately is a war orphan who was taken in by this couple who was forced to by the government, I believe. They don't want to take care of her at all and instead have her work in their shop a lot. They have an arranged marriage for her and she does not want that at all. So instead she says, if I can just study hard enough and pass this national exam that's given and score in the top like 0.5%, then I can get into the only free school in all of the country, which is a military academy, and I can be a soldier. She takes a national test. She gets into the school of Singard, which is the only free school, and it is the like elite school of all of them. It is the one who pumps out generals and all that other good stuff. While she attends Singard, the Third Poppy War starts up. The Federation of Mujin says we're taking all this over. And it's like gesturing vaguely at Nakara. And Nakara's like, what? Why? Third Poppy War happens while she's in school. And the school is pretty much like, go, child soldiers, go. And that's pretty much the book in a nutshell without me getting into major spoilers. And even some of that was a little bit spoilery. Like the summary is hard to give without spoiling something that happens around middle of the book. So something to keep in mind when reading this book is that it's very, very fast paced. A lot of things happen in a short amount of time. The author certainly doesn't linger on any one specific point in time. It's very, very much to the point. This is what happens, then this next thing, then this next thing, then this next thing. So like when she's in school, it's not like, why does Harry Potter come to mind? It's not like year one at Singard. No, this is very much the first part is like a few years at Singard in this amount of pages. Done. The narration is third person limited and it's from Rin's perspective. How that's shown is that there's actually like quite a bit of cursing throughout the narration, which is not a big deal in my mind, but just in case that's a big deal for you, just know that that happens. Like, while I was reading this book, I was like, my mom would like this book. Then all the cursing happened. I was like, my mom would not like this book. That's just something to keep in mind for you. When it comes to explaining the world building and explaining the history of the countries in this book, a lot of that is done through exposition in regards to like the instructors teaching at Singard. How this is done well, though, is that not all the explanations mix up. So they talk about a country called Spearley. I think that's how you pronounce it. But they talk about the decimation of that country and what happened to its citizens and why. And there's a lot of different varying theories. Like there's a lot being thrown out there. You don't really know which one is correct until you get all the pieces together alongside with a Rin. So I thought that was really good that it wasn't just like one person knowing exactly the truth of all the history. No, a lot of people had different theories and a lot of people had disagreements on what exactly happened and why that happened, and so on and so forth. So I thought that was really, really well done. I love the character developments in the story. Rin is a very, I don't want to call her uncouth, because that makes me sound like but more that Rin is a very abrupt person. She kind of gets into fights pretty easily and she's not afraid to stand up to people. So she's a very tough gal. Her relationship with all the characters are very interesting because a lot of characters she does not get along with at all. The way the relationships between each of the other characters grows throughout the book, and you see some amazing growth happen in that. For example, I think of Alton, who in the very beginning of the book is known as this mysterious figure. Rin really looks up to him and is like, I want to be like that guy. Or like, I want to bang that guy. Probably both. I think both. But she really admires him and kind of puts him on his pedestal because he has so many talents and a lot of people look up to him. Later on, you find out that there's a lot of stuff going on with this guy and he has a lot of things on the inside that need to be figured out for him, and that he's kind of a very tortured soul in not a good way at all. There's another character called Nezha, and granted, sorry, this is a little bit spoilery, but the relationship that she has with him at the very beginning, whether it's just volatile, they do not like each other. Nezha tries to make her life hell, and in turn, she is not very nice to him back. This also is a relationship that changes throughout the years and throughout this book, which I thought was really well done. Like it's something that I hope continues on in the next book, but we'll see. I need to get the Dragon Republic. Something to keep in mind when reading this book is very, very much a book that portrays war. So that means that you're going to find things like torture, sexual assault, and all other kinds of nasty, awful things that have happened in wars, you know, in this world. Mass genocide, human experimentation. All those things happen in this book too. Now, there are certain things that are not as described as others. So there's the general violence that happens with war, so fighting that goes on. Those have dedicated scenes to them. But things like with sexual assault, there's not really a dedicated scene to that, thankfully. But there is a character who talks about her experiences, and it's not in, you know, a vague kind of way. She does get into detail about what happened to her, and it gets uncomfortable in that moment. If that's something that you absolutely do not want to read ever in a book, or I shouldn't say want, because who wants to read that? But if that's something that's just like a no-go for you, that's like a big stop sign, then that's something to keep in mind for this book. Overall, I really like this book. I call it an easy read, not because it doesn't have its complexities or anything like that, but more because I felt like it flowed really well. So there wasn't any moment where the pacing just went off the rails in either direction. So like it had that fast pacing, and there wasn't a moment where it like halted in order to describe a tree and its leaves falling down to the ground. Rin is consistent as a character, so that's not to say that she doesn't change and grow as a person throughout this book. Rather, she doesn't just automatically like flip to this moral, upstanding character. In fact, she's actually pretty morally gray and sometimes just makes not great decisions at all, and makes not very morally choice decisions either. So that was also nice to see throughout, that it's not just like, I can't do this because it's bad. Like, she's made some decisions that are questionable, and that's kept up through the book. Now, she tries to learn from her experiences, and so we see that growth. But, you know, she keeps her character flaws even as she's trying to work with them, if that makes any sense. With the ending of this book, it didn't make me feel like it was too much of a cliffhanger, but at the same time, it did leave me wanting more. So I think that that's a pretty important part in order to get to that next book. So let me know if you have read The Poppy War, what your thoughts on it. If there's anyone who wants to share their thoughts with me that includes spoilers, by all means, I will put my Twitter handle in the description below, because I have a lot of thoughts. But unfortunately, the thoughts cannot all be put in a book review if I want it to be a spoiler-free book review. The dilemma. Thank you so much for watching. Please click that like button if you like this video. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more book reviews. And as always, may you get lost in a book.